that might have been true for maybe our parents' generation,
Mm.
but I feel like our generation is completely different. It's just like a crazy awakening, I think, amongst Black people. And it's just nice seeing this whole, vibe of togetherness, a community, which is something that probably growing up we didn't necessarily always see. So
Mm.
you know what, there's room for everybody, and and regardless of whether they're Black owned or not, you know, hold up my hand to another business or small business that wants to start up and say, look, don't do this because these are the pitfalls.
Mm.
I lost out incredibly. I've wasted money here incredibly. Don't do that. Do this. These are some of the bigger machines to stay away from, especially as a small business, because your visions aren't aligned.
Mm.
They will tell you everything that they want you to hear, and then actually it doesn't work.
This is,
So
I think it's so important to champion the small business because, like, let's say like where you live or your local street or community, you find that a lot of the time that you can't get the things that you need. So then you have to go into the bigger corporations to get it. Thankfully, we live in a world now where online is so much more accessible, so you can kind of get it online. But how amazing would it be if you could actually walk into the O.Robert&Co shop or walk into the two pencils and a pad office and actually have that bond and that connect, because online is great and it's helpful to kind of extend the arm and extend the reach, but you miss out on that kind of tactile emotive connection that I feel like you kind of get when you go into a shop and you kind of build that rapport with someone that works in the store. Not all the time, but it's just a nice little touch.
Yeah, definitely. Which is one of the reasons why I'm so keen to get myself out to like a makers market so that people can actually see me, meet me, and I can actually talk them through the process. Because there's one thing purchasing things online, and it's always great getting a repeat customer because they love your product, yeah, right? But not being able to meet them or physically interact with them, I think has been something that's been missed for a while because of this COVID lockdown situation. So I also want to like, I'm actually very, very thankful actually that I'm a small business owner, because actually there is a lot of community amongst small businesses, and there are loads of initiatives out there for people that are passionate about small businesses and tries to find ways of pushing small businesses out there. There's a company called South London Makers Market, and they recently showcased small businesses in Selfridges as like a pop-up. There's also like another store called My Black Carnaby, where they're showcasing small Black business owners in Carnaby Street. These are things that small business owners cannot tangibly, they can't, it's not within their reach.
Yeah.
So there's initiatives out there that are really helping small businesses. There's even another London Makers Market that takes place in Greenwich in the Old Navy, on Old Navy site. So these are things, the community is out there, and I suppose once you start a small business, you then become aware of these initiatives. And I will say, jump on every initiative running, because that way it gets you out there to a wider audience. But also just going back onto that point about, small businesses and big businesses working together, and sometimes it's not aligned. I'm not saying that that's the case for all, because I've seen like big businesses like the NatWest banks that have helped fund small businesses, and recently touched on Black business owners, and helped with funding, because there's been an issue with Black business owners and funding and accessibility. And we all know the reasons why. And there's businesses and banks out there that are supposed to trying to change the narrative. But when I made that comment, I'm more talking about the big businesses that are thriving off finding opportunity and squeezing money out of small businesses because they have a product or a service, and actually the cost doesn't make sense. But because you think that, oh, they're a massive corporation, it has to work, it's going to work. That's not necessarily the case. So I think, yeah, just make sure if your business is or has an ethos, or your, I suppose, your goals, your ambitions, your vision is X, don't try and align yourself with businesses that have a Y vision goal. Do you know what I mean? Because you're not aligned and you're going to get burnt. So yeah.
Boom. Dropping gem. I'm leaving
Yep.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.